Rallo calls me the wine professor because I taught Latin and Greek at St. Peter's College for 20 years, and I'm selling wine now. We're not going to sell you anything today, we're just going to spin the bottle. We're going to do this from time to time, and hopefully quite often. Today we're going to talk about one of Italy's most important wines, Amarone. First of all, it's pronounced Amarone. Some people say Amarone, but Italy's a phonetic language, so it's Amarone. And the full name of the wine is Amarone della Valpolicella. It's a variation of Valpolicella. So the first question is, where is it from? It's from the Veneto region, very small geographic area, not far from Lake Garda, in the Lesini Hills, just outside of Verona. This is all of Veneto, and now this is more specifically Valpolicella. And the Classico zone, the original zone where the wine was first created, is close to the Adige River, which goes right through the city of Verona and then out into the Adriatic. And these are the hills of the Classico zone. Let's talk about this DOC zone. First of all, it's regulated by the Italian government, the Ministry of Agriculture, and that they regulate many things about wines. First of all, this is a little microclimate between Lake Garda, the Adige River, and the Lesini Mountains, a very special place. So the Ministry of Agriculture is protecting this special place. Also, Ministry of Agriculture says Amarone must be red. They control the color of the wine. So there are a lot of safeguards when you buy a bottle of Amarone. You're protected by the wine laws of Italy. Classico's in the western part. There are some in the eastern hills, like Dal Forno, Pieropan, who are really excellent producers. So you get good Amarone from the entire area. And Amarone is a variation of Valpolicella. To give you an idea, there are 4 million cases of Valpolicella wine produced. Amarone, there's only 200 to 250,000 cases. Why? Well, Amarone wine is made from specially selected clusters. You need professional harvesters, people that know what they're doing. They cut off the best clusters of the grapes. You probably know, at the top of the cluster there's more sugar than at the bottom of the cluster. So they cut off all of the best parts that have the most sugar. And then they take these clusters and lay them out on plastic mats. With regard to these clusters, they have to be laid out on plastic mats in one layer. If they're stacked on top of each other, you wind up with a mold problem. So it's got to be one layer. And it has to be plastic now because they're afraid if you use wood or some other thing, the insects might infest it. So plastic has to be used, it has to be done on one layer only. Very labor intensive. Where they dry up for a period of 3, 4, or 5 months, just depending on the vintage. So it's this that separates Amarone from regular Valpolicella. The special selection of clusters coupled with the drying process. The Italians call this drying process the passito process. The tradition for this drying process goes back to Roman times. They used to make a wine in this area called Retico wines. And during the Middle Ages, they made another wine called Accinatico wine, all made in this passito drying process. Italy is not allowed to add sugar to the wine, but they're allowed to add concentrate or dried grapes. The basic grape variety in the wine is Corvina, also called Corvina Veronese. It's very good to be dry. It has a nice thick skin and it dries beautifully. It's also, I call it Cherry City. It tastes like cherries in syrup because it has good texture. Cherries in alcohol because it's a very formidable wine. Sugar converts to alcohol, the fermentation process, and sometimes an Amarone is 14.5% alcohol, 15% or more, and then just plain old cherries. In addition to the Corvina, other grape varieties may be used. Local grapes such as Molinara and Rondinella, even Sangiovese and Barbera. But the important thing is that whatever they use amplifies the flavors of the noble Corvina grape. Opulent, satisfying, these are terms that wine writers have used. Sumptuous, some compare it to port. although port has brandy added to it, people pick up a lot of viscosity, roses and irises in the fragrance. There's a great concentration. People talk about a leathery aspect to it, especially as it ages. They pick up chocolate, especially bitter chocolate, and some coffee aspects. What do you drink it with? In Italy, they call it a vino di meditazione, a wine of meditation. They like to drink a little bit by itself at the end of a meal as a digestivo. But in America, we like to drink it with game dishes, cheeses, hearty cuisine, even a steak. I like it with ossobuco. Ossobuco, the veal shank, is cooked for a long time. It's almost cooked to death. Has a great concentration of flavor. And I get that same kind of concentration from Amarone. To me, the two things that make Amarone perfect are Stilton cheese and Friends. We should tell you that the aging requirement set by the Italian government is a minimum of 2 years, but most of the quality producers age for a longer period of time. This is a wine you can enjoy young. It's very buoyant when it's young because it's a blend of different grape varieties, but it's also a wine that you can age easily for 15 to 20 years or even more. How did this wine come about? We'll just finish a little story about Amarone. There was a gentleman named Nino Franceschetti working at Santa Sofia Winery. 1949 vintage. There was such a large crop that he decided to take some wine, put it aside, dry the grapes, and let it ferment to complete dryness. And this is what he did. The result was Amarone. Amarone means big and bitter. It's really not bitter wine, but it's bitter in comparison to the sweeter Recioto della Valpolicella. Bolla, in 1950, was the first commercial producer of Amarone. Okay, even though there's a tradition that goes back years and years, Amarone didn't enter commercial production until the 1950 vintage. And Bertani was renowned and is renowned today for older vintages of Amarone della Valpolicella. They have vintages back to the 60s. I sort of like them young. Who told me about Nino Franceschetti? Dario Tomasi from Tomasi Winery. This is a single vineyard Amarone della Valpolicella from the Florian vineyard, Ca Florian. All comes from this one vineyard, a terraced vineyard, right in the heart of the Classico zone. Terraced vineyards are a tradition in this area of Valpolicella. They're called Marrogne. And I just wanted to point out that there's no traditional bottle shape for Amarone. You find them both in Bordeaux and Burgundy bottles. Okay, this is a Michele Castellani Amarone della Valpolicella. You can see it's a Classico, and it's from the Monte Cristi vineyard area. This is a 2003 vintage, the Ca Florian 2001. You can enjoy them now. You can enjoy them over the next 10 years. If you have any questions about Amarone della Valpolicella, ask us. If you have any comments, we'd like to see what you like about Amarone della Valpolicella. Pass your comments on. Amarone is a result of a lot of hard work and years of aging. You can never have inexpensive Amarone, but you will have Amarone for $30 or $35 and Amarone for $200, $250 a bottle. Why? Well, the grower controls the quality of the wine. Maybe he ages it in oak for a longer period of time. Maybe the drying process is longer. Okay, until we spin the bottle again, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. I hope it's increased your knowledge and affection for Amarone della Valpolicella. Thank you.